There's a question a lot of you typed into a search bar late at night, and then you deleted it before you hit enter. It's a version of, is liking feet normal? Why am I like this? Is something wrong with me? And the thing is, you didn't want that question in your browsing history. And you also didn't really want the answer in case that answer was no, it's not normal. But today we answer that exact problem. And out loud, like adults, we're not going to make it weird. We're not going to make jokes to make it a little less awkward. No, we're just going to talk about truth, all right? And what's going on in the culture and what's going on inside of your own head as well. So grab a coffee, get a glass of water, get your popcorn, get comfortable, because this is going to be the long, honest version of a conversation people don't really sit down and have. Now, if nobody in your life ever told you that you are allowed to have these kind of conversations, to ask these questions without shrinking, I want you to consider this channel the actual platform where you can have these conversations. So subscribe and stay until the end, because by the end of this video, I really hope that this question, is liking feet normal, is going to have a different vibe and it's going to make you feel a little different than it did when you clicked. So let's begin by attacking the word, okay? What does it even mean being normal? You see, when most people say normal, they think they mean good or healthy or right. But what they actually mean is just common enough that nobody points at it, that it doesn't stand out. And let's think about it. Normal, the line of normal moves constantly. What was normal 100 years ago is not normal today, right? 100 years ago, a woman wouldn't even show her ankles without being called scandalous. Today, a woman can wear a short skirt and it's nothing but a Tuesday, right? And one of you said actually this, and I think it's a very good way of looking at it. You said, define normal anyway. Everyone's different, and if what you do doesn't harm yourself or others or your partner, then what is the issue? Exactly. Then another one of you went straight to the core. The social norm says that liking butts is normal, but if you like toes and feet, you're a creep. Exactly. Two opposite reactions, and the only thing that changed was the part of the body we pointed at. Now, there's a whole stack of reactions and emotions and just things in general that you were handed about this. And just watch how fragile those are and how ridiculous they sound when we say them out loud. People with fetishes are degenerates. Women are disturbed by men who like feet. Men who love feet are pathetic and lame. Those are just insults that are coming like from a playground. But they like to pretend they're coming from grown-ups. No. What about the people who like butts, right? Is that weird or disgusting too? Right? Exactly. So the rule of what is normal was never consistent. It was just pointed at you. So if you've been waiting to find out whether feet are normal, liking feet, I mean, obviously feet are normal because everybody has them, but if liking feet is normal, I'm going to give you an answer that I really want you to land in your mind. Honestly, feet are one of the most vanilla fetishes that a person can have. There you go. You have that. Okay. Now, I'm sure it's nice to hear that it's fine, but let me also show you why. So I hope this is going to click, because when it does, it's going to change your whole perspective around this. Scientists made a map. They laid your whole body parts across the surface of your brain. Every part of you gets its own little area up there. Your hands, your lips, your back. And on that map of the surface of the brain, the zone for your feet sits right next to the door. Sits right next to the zone for your genitals. And by now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you know this, that they're neighbors, okay? So the zone for feet and the zone for genitals are sharing a wall in your brain. And a well-known neuroscientist looked at that and went, maybe that's why people like feet so often, right? It's kind of like a little crosstalk between the two zones that live right next to each other. Now, honestly, scientists are still arguing about this, and this is not the whole story, but the part that matters for this conversation right here is that there is a physical, structural reason this is one of the most common wirings a human brain can have. There's also a deeper layer to you didn't choose this, right? The blueprint for what turns you on gets mostly laid down young, way before you had the analytical power to just sit there and actually pick your preferences like off a menu. By the time you were old enough to even ask, is this normal? It was already installed. It was already there. And you said it yourselves over and over and over again in my comments. I discovered it at 13. I've had it since I was a kid. I can't stop and I won't stop. Of course you couldn't argue your way out of it as a freaking teenager. You were never running a buggy software. You were running a normal, healthy, standard software. And I'm not trying to be nice to you by saying that. When researchers actually went and counted what people are quietly into, feet landed at the near top of the list. On the top. So this thing you've been hauling around like a secret defect that you carry and you try to hide, there's a reason for it. And the reason is built into your hardware, into your brain. Now, I really want to hold on to this. And this is, you are more normal than you think. Really let that sink into your mind. Now, if the attraction was never the issue, but the loop around it is, the scrolling, the rush, the crash, the shame, and then the repeat, I made you a free kink shame exit kit. It's the first real step that takes you off that spiral and it costs you nothing. You can find it at the link pinned in the description. Now, there's an important distinction we need to make because most people, even the people defending you, get wrong. The attraction versus the loop, the compulsive behavior around it. Okay? Attraction, liking feet, we just proved is normal. However, the loop around it is the only thing that is actually worth your attention. And one of you, honestly, sharper than probably half of the experts out there online, said it perfectly in the comments. And he said, the shame doesn't come from the fetish itself. It comes from the obsession that doesn't let you live your life, the pattern you know you don't like, but you don't know how to stop. That is the whole thing. So let me walk you through the loop because once you see it, you can't unsee it. It goes something like this. Something feels off. You're bored, you're lonely, or you're stressed after a long day at night, right? In your bed. So you reach for the phone and you start scrolling and then you watch something that turns you on. And now there's the rush, right? And then the relief. Finally, something feels good. And that's human. And then the rush fades. And it fades fast. And that's why some people call it instant gratification. And it's framed negatively. Because after the rush fades away, you're left with a crash and some form of shame. And the why do I keep doing this? And that bad feeling kicks the whole thing off again. So let's take a close look at what's actually happening here. The rush feels great. I know, very well. And it lasts about 30 seconds. And after it fades, you're right back where you started, except a little emptier because you didn't really put your energy into actually building something tangible. So you reach for another dose and then another. And in time, when you look back, you start seeing that that loop is eating the one thing you can't get back: your time, your energy, the exact energy you could be pouring into the life you actually want. And here's a line that I watched resonate with a lot of you. One man wrote, "I'm not addicted to the fetish, I'm addicted to the relief." Now, notice the awareness that he's not in fact chasing feet. He's chasing a way to not feel something for about a minute. The feet are just the doorway. You could be very well be a different thing for somebody else. It's not just about feet, obviously. But the thing on the other side of the door is the actual hunger to feel calm, to feel okay, to feel good, to feel like you are enough, right? So I want to get something very clear, because it's actually the heartbeat of everything I teach here on this channel. Nobody's asking you to kill your attraction. Nobody's telling you to remove your foot fetish. You can keep that, and honestly you should, because it's yours and it's actually quite normal, and it can be a beautiful part of your life. The work, the only work, is taking the controls back from that loop. And one of you said it after going through my stuff. He said, "I got my power back to end the spiral." That's the goal. That's the goal of everything I do. Not a more sterile, a more pure version of you. No, a commanded you that is whole and is at peace with all sides of who he is. Because my favorite line is, "The feet are the hook, self-mastery is the point." Always. Now, I'm going to make this conversation go a little more serious route and a little more firm, because it's important to add a frame to all of this freedom talk so things don't get sideways and chaotic. Everything I've said, it's fine, that you're free and you should explore it, your fetishes and all of it, all of that rides on exactly two conditions. Two. And those are consent and legal. Consent means everyone involved is a grown adult who freely said yes and is free to say no at any second. Legal means exactly what it sounds like. But let me be completely unambiguous, because this is the only line that I will never, ever, ever blur. That means no children. Ever. Also no animals. And really no being that's alive who cannot understand what they're agreeing to and freely consent to it. And I know I put a lot of nuance into conversations, but there's no nuance here. No buts, no clever exception, no philosophical, hypothetical, no edge case. And honestly, anyone who tries to drag that conversation into a gray area is telling you exactly who they are. Okay? Kids and anyone who can't consent are protected. Period. That's the foundation that every other word in this video stands on, and on this channel really. Adults, consenting, legal. Everything outside that line is off the table completely, always. No exception. All right? Inside of those rules though, and I believe everyone agrees those rules are just common sense. Although in today's age, it seems like we have to say it. All right? We have to articulate that more. If those two conditions are met, you have so much more room that you think you have, that you were told. Exploring with a partner in your own bedroom, or, just working with a professional who does exactly that for a living. Adults only spaces, conventions built for that, full of people who get it. That's grown people in a grown-up territory choosing together. That's beautiful. That was always allowed. The one place it crosses a line is when you pull someone who didn't choose to be there, okay? Like flashing it to a stranger, or taking photos without consent, right? Doing things without consent in general. Also, making it a problem of someone who never signed up for it. That breaks the rule 1. That's the entire moral universe of this thing. 2 rules, keep them, and you have nothing ever to apologize for. So, here comes the bigger question. If it's wired in, if it's so common, and the rules are this simple, then why this feels like a freaking crime? That's the question. Why, every time I say it out loud, it sounds like a confession of something completely forbidden? Well, that is the question, isn't it? Well, why the secrecy, right? Why the deleted history? The I never told anyone. Well, it's because you inherited a story, and a very old one, passed down generation to generation, that says sex is dirty, and that story was passed down to me by my grandmother. That it's something shameful, something to hide and feel ashamed of, to feel guilty about. Yeah, for a long stretch of history, desire itself got treated like a disease to be managed. And nobody around just stopped to question it. So it just kept getting handed down like a pair of shoes that was always too tight, always too small, but everybody kept wearing. And I want to be careful here because I know some of you have some form of religious faith that matters to you, and I'm not here to take a swing at it. But plenty of you grew up with that frame. And one of you did write in one of my videos, comment section, about your Christian foundation and how long it took to just entangle that. So let me draw a clean line because I think this is an important one, all right? Again, there is a difference between a rule somebody installed in you when you were too young to consent to it and your own inner compass as a grown man. One was handed to you, the other you actually own. So the nuance here that I want to hand you is this. Real conscience says, don't do harm, right? Don't hurt people. Inherited shame says, don't be who you are. Notice that those are not the same voice. And a huge part of healing is learning to tell them apart. Now here's a question I will let you answer yourself. I'm not going to say more about this, but I'm just going to ask this question. Who benefits, actually, from when men are at war with themselves? Who benefits when you're at war with yourself? A man who's always ashamed and second-guessing his own body, hating himself. Is he easy to lead or hard to lead? Is he easy to sell to or hard to sell to? Is he easy to keep small and busy and distracted and controlled? Or is hard? I'm just handing you a question, all right? Because a man who's genuinely at peace with himself is a lot harder to push around. And I'm just saying, maybe, just maybe that inner peace was never something certain people wanted you to have. And there's also a flip side of this shame. The one that genuinely fires me up because it hits home to me personally. And I'm looking straight at you if this is you, okay? It's when men get to blame women for it. And they were taught to do that. I don't think they just decided that. When they say, well, she shouldn't have worn that. She's distracting me. I can't focus on what you say. When feet are visible, I can't focus on anything. As if a woman just being beautiful, being feminine, and sometimes barefoot, or being herself is a crime. And your reaction is somehow her fault. Oh, that's just cute. No. One of you nailed it, actually. He said, some people want the world to adapt to their lack of discipline. That is it, right there. Blaming her is just shame. And it keeps you exactly as powerless. Yeah, because now your peace depends on what the woman does. And the entire point of this channel in one line is to convince you, to teach you that you actually have the controls. You have it, not her. Also, not the algorithm, not the social media platforms. No, you. All right? And now, okay, honestly, for some people, a desire is tangled with something painful, right? With something traumatic from the past. And a few of you have told me that. And if that's you, hear me. It doesn't make you dirty, okay? And it doesn't make your attraction fake. It just means part of this might be worth exploring with a professional, all right? Someone who's trained for it. And listen, there's no shame in that. It's quite honestly the opposite of shame. That is taking responsibility for your own mental health, and that is command. But also, let's be precise, right? A common wiring is not a wound. The map in your brain isn't trauma. So we don't go pathologizing a perfectly normal thing. And we also don't ignore real pain when it's there. Both can be true at the same time. That's another nuance that people sometimes just don't get, don't see. And the rule that ties all of it together, it's one that I basically say in all my videos. Work on the root, not just the symptom, okay? The root was never the attraction. The root is the story you were handed about it. The narratives that you absorbed before you even had the capacity to understand them, and the tools to process them in a healthy way. Okay, enough. Why? Let me give you something to actually do, because reassurance will fade by tomorrow, right? As always. But I also like to give you tools, as you know already, because I really like to hopefully take you from the powerless team to the team who has a choice and who feels empowered and confident. Okay, cool. First thing, for the love of God, just stop fighting it, all right? And the cruelest joke about the shame is that the harder you shove it down, the louder it gets. Fighting it is equals to feeding it. Fighting it is feeding it. Let's just put it this way. The man who's at peace is not the one who puts his desires into a box and tries to forget about it. He's the one who stopped fighting and just lets it be a thing about him. Neither proud or ashamed, just neutral. Almost boring. Like, that's freedom. It's just natural, right? Then second, separate the wanting from the doing. All right? Wanting things is, again, natural. It's almost automatic. It shows up on its own. You didn't sign a form for it. However, the doing part is a choice. And in the gap between those two things lives every ounce of your power. You can notice the pull and not be dragged by it. That gap is the whole skill. Then the third is actually build a pause, right? And that, it sounds so simple, it almost sounds like it's fake, but it actually works, guys. When the urge hits and the hand reaches for the phone, just take one breath first, just one. That's it. A lot of you already do this. One of you told me you do breathing exercises and feel your anxiety drop. That single breath is you stepping back into the driver's seat. Stack enough of those breaths and the loop loses its grip. The King Shame Exit Kit actually makes this gap ridiculously easy, so grab it at the link below. And fourth, go after the root cause. Okay, next time the shame spikes, get curious instead of guilty. What happened 10 minutes before? Were you bored? Were you lonely? Did someone make you feel small? The urge is like a messenger, so read the message. And notice that none of these things are about killing your desire. Every single one of these steps is about command. You keep the attraction, you keep who you are, and take back the steering wheel. That's the entire game. And if you've outgrown doing this alone, if you're done with the guessing, trying and failing, and you want it laid out step by step, day by day, that's exactly what the 14-day self-command reset is. It's daily structure, audios, workbook, and 2 weeks to stop fighting yourself and start running the show. It's the deeper version of everything I just gave you. The link to the waitlist is also in the description below. Now, let me leave you with a last picture, okay? Actually, two of them. On one side, there's a version of you who never deals with this. He's still hiding, still deleting his history, still tangled in the loop, still letting other people's opinions tell him what kind of man he's allowed to be, still wanting to feel ready. And he's quietly lonely, and he's spending the best of his energy on a 2-minute rush that leaves him emptier every single time. I'm not judging him. I was a version of him a while ago, but I won't lie to you about where that road goes. It just goes in a circle. While on the other side, there is a man who turned around and actually faced these patterns. He loves feet and he's confident about it. So it's just one more honest thing about a whole interesting human. He's calm. He's at peace with himself. He sleeps fine. He's got energy for his work, his body. He has energy for his hobbies, for his people, for his relationship. He's not performing for anyone, which is exactly why people lean in when he walks into a room. He's the guy everybody likes. He's the guy who has great intimacy and a great life because he stopped being at war with his own desires. A man who's at peace with his own desire is a magnetic being. And that magnetism doesn't just stay in the bedroom. You felt it around certain people. I know you did. You can recognize when a person is just, it has the je ne sais quoi, right? And they're not always the best looking person in the room, but everything kind of orbits around them. Their ideas land easier. People lean in. And that pool isn't really about sex. It's the energy underneath it. The same charge that instead of leaking out in a loop at 1 a.m. gets to fuel your nerve, your creativity, and the rest of your whole life. That energy doesn't stay in one room. It spills into all of them. So that is the actual trade. On one side, it's a secret you delete from your search history. On the other side, it's a man who stopped fighting himself and actually got all of that energy back. And he's using it. Oh boy. And here's my actual mission, guys. The reason I quit the comfortable thing and I started making this instead is because we've been lied about sex for a very, very, very long time. And this is my small way of contributing to something bigger than me. Because I believe a person who's satisfied, at peace, powerful in his own skin, that person doesn't go looking for a fight. That person doesn't need to attack anybody, doesn't need to shrink others so he feels bigger and better. Love, not war, anybody? People who are full don't go around trying to tear other people down. So let me say it plainly one more time for the people in the back. The way I wish someone said it to me when I was 12. There's nothing to fix. You don't have to fix what you like. There's nothing in there that needs fixing in the first place. The work is command. It's peace, integration, owning it instead of running from it. And just remember, you are more normal than you ever let yourself believe. And you are so, so far from alone. Now, before you go, if this gave you one real breath of relief, do me a favor and like the video. It's the single thing that pushes it to the next guy lying awake, asking himself if there is anything wrong with him. Nothing's wrong with him either. Subscribe to the channel if you want more of this type of conversations. Grab the freaking shame exit kit in the description below, your first step out of the loop at zero cost. And also join the wait list to be the first to know when the doors to the self-command reset in 14 days open again. Also, if you'd like to support the show and the mission to normalize fetishes and sex, you can head over to my Patreon page. I'm sending you much love and a little light, and I'll see you in the next one.